off all these siege tanks now. Those drones really desperately trying to run for their lives. There's Wednesday Night Starcraft.
vVv Gaming attendees of BlizzCon, and I was saying that basically that's a new achievement. To get that portrait, you have to cheese and win all your games of Wednesday Night Starcraft, and RuFF said he was up for the challenge of getting that portrait because he was jealous of all the players who had it.
All right, well, I kind of feel bad. If I knew that RuFF really wanted it, I might have tried to save one for him. Unfortunately, I'm out of redemption codes, so if RuFF does earn that portrait, he doesn't earn it from me. As Game 6 in this Best of 7 series getting started, vVv's RuFF versus Cake's. Impressive play from Cake, and it is going to be the Xel'Naga Caverns. This was RuFF's choice, and with RuFF's choice, I am curious as to what is going to go down here.
Yeah, definitely. I talked about it before, the close starting positions and knowing where your opponent is. Sort of like, MLG, Antigua, except much, much closer. I mean, let's think about builds that we've seen from RuFF before in TVP here, and I guess the interesting / cheesy builds. I know he's done, a proxy barracks with that bunker play. So we'll see whether perhaps that could happen here if he's able to sneak in an SCV into his opponent's base.
Yeah, and I don't know. Currently my loading screen it seems frozen. I can move my mouse. What about you? Are you done loading?
I've got the same thing loaded to about 20% here. So somebody's lagging. I'm not sure whether somebody will drop out. This has never really happened before. So we will have to see.
Yeah, definitely have to see it. I'm used to making, a little bit of small talk for maybe 10, 20 seconds at most when the map loads. But I can only stare at, I believe that's a Goliath pilot, and I'm not quite sure what Cake's icon is. I don't happen to remember his name. Do you?
Yeah, I didn't actually finish the campaign. I just play mostly multiplayer.
Oh, come on. You gotta at least finish the story.
Well, see, I started up the campaign, and they were Terran units. So the campaign was it was too easy. I was like, I need to get online. I need to start playing with these other races and handicap myself, play against people, So I guess that was my main concern with the the campaign. So when Heart of the Swarm comes out, I'm sure I'll be loading up the one player there.
No, then you're just gonna complain that your opponents are Terran and you can't win at all.
Oh, that's true. Well, it depends on whether the Shredder's in the game or not, as it's currently positioned.
All right, but anyways, let's get into the game. We see RuFF spawning as the red Terran player on the bottom left-hand side of the map. Meanwhile, Cake spawning as the pretty in pink Protoss, very, very confident in himself and able to wear pink and pull it off well. And we'll see what's going to happen. I got this cool 8-gate counter. I'll 8-gate then. All right, so apparently RuFF wants his opponent to 8-gate, and we'll see whether or not he's going to be able to receive that and counter it as well.
Yeah, RuFF, pretty chatty when other people are. It's been fun to have him. Not only does he have the interesting play, but he's sort of been back and forth, got a little bit of rivalry going in a number of weeks, and a little bit of trash talking as well. So always fun to have players that are talkative and just have personalities to go along with their play style.
Yes, most definitely. As we see, RuFF getting a little bit delayed on his barracks, but I'm not quite sure. Okay, there we go. I think he started that supply depot a little bit earlier than normal, based upon the timing, and now getting the barracks around 12. I'm not quite sure. I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me, and not quite sure what that build was, as we now also see Cake setting up a gateway, getting that assimilator. Pretty much the same build that Protoss players 9 times out of 10 will use, as we now see the scouting probe coming up the ramp, or will be coming into the natural expansion first.
Well, RuFF said he was going to counter 8-gate, so maybe you just haven't seen this build before because nobody in pro play goes for the 8-gate counter right off the bat. As we do have RuFF getting that refinery up and running, and the assimilator already done for Cake, so both players are going to be on their 1 gas. And just the gateway and the barracks out. So we'll see whether they throw down any more production facilities, whether they go for some sort of macro game with a quick nexus or orbital command.
Yeah, right now the probe just being very, very annoying. A Marine will be trained up in just a moment. The probe is not going to be able to harass as a Marine will be popping out. And Cake looking to sacrifice this one particular probe, I guess, now trying to pull away down to 10 hit points and able to escape. The Marine now needs to make sure that there is no proxy pylon anywhere to be seen, as we now see a second pylon warping in as, or a third pylon now warping in as well. And Cake has not set up his second assimilator yet, so I'm curious as to what strategy he will be opening up with.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to see how that Chrono Boost is used. It looks like one going down on the Cybernetics core, another going on the gateway to get out that Stalker, so not going to be any sort of early gateway pressure, really, really fast gateway pressure. And RuFF getting a bunker down at his the top of his ramp here, so I think he will be trying to maybe fake tech here as he's got a second barracks coming out. Stim, very early stim already coming out for RuFF, so might be trying to hit some sort of timing here with just a ton of Marines.
Yeah, you're gonna see an SCV now make his way over to the main base of Cake. Cake, the probe, just looking and trying to figure out where the scouting SCV is. I don't think RuFF has really moved outside his base at all. Now finally moving out at the 4-minute 30-second mark, you can see that there are 3 Marines inside that bunker, and most Protoss players, when they see a bunker on the ramp, they naturally assume that it's some sort of Banshee play and they go into a robotics facility. So this may be a bit of a head fake in order to really just train up a lot of units. But RuFF is also going into a factory, so he may be trying to go for an early drop as a bunker is now being set up right behind Cake's mineral line at the natural expansion.
That's nice, and I think I do remember one other build that RuFF came out with, and that was heavily upgraded Marines, where he went for Stim, where he went for Combat Shield, and he also got Medivacs as well. And that was the build which he said really punishes a teching Protoss player. So we'll see whether he gets an engineering bay, whether he goes for the Combat Shield after Stim finishes. But I think earlier than that, he's going to be able to take advantage of this bunker position. And if this Nexus finishes, it's going to be a bad deal for Cake. I believe he can't see either of these bunkers as a second one about to go up for RuFF. And if I was RuFF, I would allow this to finish. And it looks like he's going to do just that before loading up and giving away the fact that he's got a bunker.
Yeah, that's going to be very, very interesting as we are going to see the bunker and 2 bunkers. And what those Marines are going to be able to do is they're going to be able to dance in between those 2 locations. One probe trying to walk up. And I know that the Stalkers saw that there were Marines there, so I'm not quite sure what's going on as the SCV is now out. Stalkers are now trying to make their way in. They're going to be able to poke apart. And this is going to be rather interesting as the SCV should start to repair here. There is a lot of Marines there, and now the one SCV able to jump inside the bunker and hide. So this is a double bunker rush, and it is dealing a lot of damage to the Nexus. Cake is not overreacting. He's waiting for another round of units to warp in before he does anything else, as the SCV once again hiding inside the bunker and trying to make sure that he has a place to run and hide to.
Yeah, beautiful micro by RuFF. Every time the SCV and the Stalkers push forward, he pulls back and loads that SCV into the bunker. When the Stalkers leave again, the SCV pops out, repairs, and hops right back into its second home there. And RuFF is definitely going to take down this Nexus. Unless Cake pushes in here, he's got a ton of units. But again, he's going to have to handle 2 bunkers here. I think RuFF going to be able to go into that second bunker and perhaps should have kept focusing down that Nexus, as he's going to lose all these Marines and the SCV as well as the 2 bunkers there, and he's not going to have anything to show for it as this Nexus does finish. And we see that Cake already has a nice infrastructure set up with his 3 gates and his robotics facility, and Cake's going to be in a nice position.
Yeah, Cake is in a very nice position. The problem, though, is RuFF does have Combat Shield about to complete. Yeah. He has 2 Medivacs. Stim has already been completed. And now all the... Yeah, this is going to be a very nice timing, as there are no sentries in play in order to try to split up this army or use Guardian Shield.
Yeah, it was that build I was talking about earlier that he used several weeks ago, where he went for the heavily upgraded Marines. They've got +1, they've got Stim, they've got Combat Shield, and he's got Medivac support. So this is going to be so difficult for Cake to deal with. He's got that Observer moving across the field, but it did not see the Marines and medevacs. RuFF was able to juke by that, and now he's going to have these Marines stimming up. They're going to try to take on all these Stalkers and the Zealots. The high ground factory they're going to give sight, and I think that RuFF's going to have to scoot and shoot his way, but he's going to do a ton of damage, stimming up once again, and then we got more and more Marines streaming across the field. Cake, with his gateway units, just not going to be able to handle the pure DPS of stim Marines.
Right now, this is looking really, really bad for Cake, but Cake and both sides taking heavy losses. The Marines are now trying to push back in once more. You cannot use stim that heavily. If the more you use stim, the more damage you take yourself. The Marines are fighting back, doing a good job. Zealots are falling, but the Stalkers are also getting in some damage as well as the Marines trying to push back in, and there's only a handful of Marines left to try to take down these Stalkers here. As another round of stim coming in, it looks like Cake is going to lose a couple Stalkers, but I believe another round of Warp Gate Tech units will be coming in just a moment, as a couple probes may get destroyed, but this is the end of this rush.
Yeah, it looks like he was able to take down 5 or so probes there. No, it was 8 workers killed total, 9 now total for RuFF, and I think that's exactly what he needed to do. He was already behind workers, but now it's 33 to 39, so he's ahead in tech, a little bit behind in economy, and I think that was a pretty good trade for both players at that point. Cake did a nice job being patient there, whittling down those Marines, taking down a medevac when he got the chance, and just weathering the storm there. A strong timing attack coming out for RuFF, and Cake was able to defend.
Yeah, right now, RuFF pulling away with the factory. He wants to make sure that the Stalkers do not shoot it down. Otherwise, he won't be able to train up any more starports. And the factory looks like it will just hover off on the far side. There is an observer keeping track of this army, though. The Marines are upgraded 1-0, as you mentioned, and 1-0 Marines against 0-0-0 Zealots. That's going to be very, very difficult to stop. But we'll see how all that will work out, as we are now getting the armor upgrades first from Cake.
I'm not really sure I understand the Immortal here from Cake. Maybe he just wants to get out a ton of units and use all of his production structures, but Immortal not going to do so hot against those stim Marines. Going to have his shields pounded through very quickly. Now we see force fields go off, so it's going to provoke a lot of micro from RuFF, but RuFF has a great concave here, taking on these Stalkers, whose DPS just not all that great. The Immortal not doing much as well. Does have 2 kills, and now the Stim to run away here. I think the RuFF was able to take down a number of units there quite efficiently. Now just going to go home, keep those Marines alive, and then push out with a later timing to really take advantage of the damage he's done.
Yeah, right now he is getting the Mobius reactor. Ghost will have enough energy for an EMP shockwave. And the moment they come out, more medevacs being added. We're going to have 6 medevacs on the field in just a couple of seconds. And I believe RuFF is just going to continue with this mass Marine army, perhaps trying to emulate Marine King Prime just a little bit, as we'll see whether or not this 25 Marines will be able to deal enough damage and make a dent in this army. Taking a look at the army compositions, it is very, very even. RuFF slightly ahead after this round of warp-in, and this is going to be very difficult, as now a second group of medevacs, 6 medevacs, will be here in just a moment.
Yeah, that is a lot of medevacs to try to DPS through, especially without any sort of AoE, as RuFF, beautiful micro here, able to take down the majority of those Zealots without losing much in the way of Marines. The Cake doing a nice job with those Stalkers, kiting back and taking down medevacs, just 3 medevacs left, but RuFF has lost hardly any health and hardly any Marines here. Going to take down all of the Zealots, that Immortal, and now it's just going to be stimming in here, chasing down the remaining Stalkers, now going after the economy of Cake. I think RuFF, being a little bit indecisive here, either needs to take a Nexus, all the probes or all the Stalkers, going to take that Nexus, and down goes the expansion of Cake. All these probes here for RuFF to take down as well. Cake pushing out those probes, going to try to save them, and then Cake has Archons up now, so RuFF really needs to focus those down one at a time if he does decide to engage, but once again doing a smart job of stimming up and running home, taking the advantage he was able to gain himself, taking down that Nexus.
Yeah, so very, very nicely done. RuFF already has EMP for the next round or the next wave to come in. You can see that more medevacs are once again being added. We are currently only sitting on 2 medevacs. Very nicely done and very well played by Cake to make sure that he was focusing down those medevacs, as the medevacs can't heal each other, and getting damage onto a Marine at that point was pretty much had no effect whatsoever, as those Marines were just constantly being healed and rehealed. We are also going into personal cloaking, but that's not going to make much of a difference, as there is an observer currently following the group of ghosts. And with that EMP shockwave, as long as he's able to hit the Archons and deal 200 damage with those 2 ghosts, he may have enough to stim through and deal a bit of damage here.
And we see a spread coming here from Cake, so one EMP goes off and takes down a number of shields on Zealots. We've got a few feedbacks going off, as we did have High Templar being warped in there, and looks like one Archon, very low shields, as the Marines stim up, focus down all the Archons. I think this is going to be it for Cake. He doesn't have much in the way of army, just a few Stalkers. He's got all these probes. Nexus isn't finished. His economy isn't great, and there's Cake leaving without a GG. Not sure what that's about, but RuFF with that strong, constant pressure with Stim Marines.